What's shaking booktube, my name's Cam and welcome back to another writing tip video. I wanted to do something a bit different today. Rather than just talk about stuff that could be considered writing guidelines, I want to talk about something that I think is equally as important to a writer, and that's inspiration. So today I'm going to be showing you some quotes or inspirational writing quotes from notable authors, and we're going to have a chat about them, about each quote that I mentioned for you. Just because I want to see if these quotes, first of all, I want to see if I feel they're inspirational. I want to see if I feel that I just want to see if I personally will think that they're useful to someone. Which is going to come up incredibly douchey, because I am nowhere even near, I'm not even in the same universe as these authors, so I should not really be criticizing their quotes. Anyway, roll the intro. Thanks again, Wolfpack, for joining me for another video. As I said, we're going to be talking about some quotes, so let's just get right into the thick of it. And we are talking about inspirational quotes, so it's gonna get cheesy. The first one's by Stephen King, and that is, "The scariest moment is always just before you start." Yeah, Stephen King. That's real easy for you to say, asshole! I'm just kidding, that actually is a really good quote, and very true. I've found in my experience writing, the main point where you're going to hit a lot of the writer's block is just before you write that first line of the book, because you don't want to start at random points. I mean, you can, I'm not saying to not do that, but most people won't want to. They want to start with the first line of the book, and you'll always feel that the first line is one of the most important parts. And that's not the only reason the scariest moment is before you start. It's because if this is your first book, chances are that this is a whole new adventure, a whole new hobby, a whole new experience for you. You might have already written short stories, you might have done scribblings on a page, but when you really sit down to write a book and you're about to start it, you're going to run into a lot of doubts. Basically, this is the point that is going to make or break you as writing being your thing or your hobby, because this is where most of the people are going to chicken out. This is why one of the most common things a writer will hear from other people is, "I also want to write or be a writer, but I just don't know where to start." It's because they get to this point and they just don't power through, which is understandable. It's a scary thing. The next one is by W. Somerset Maugham, and it says, "There are 3 rules for writing a novel/book," and then it has 1, 2, 3, and they're blank. It goes on to say, "Unfortunately, no one knows what they are," and yeah, that is miserably true. I mean, as part of a writing tip video series, obviously people can give you advice and they can tell you how they start. They can tell you things that might help you to start a book or to continue writing or to make it better, but in reality, there's no real way of just doing it. Tips and advice will only ever be that, tips and advice. There are really no rules in place for being a writer to write a book, well, a good book, I should say. If you're going to be a successful writer of a book, it's because you stand out in a way that other people haven't, and unfortunately there's no rules around that. That's what makes it so individual. Nora Roberts says, "You can fix anything but a blank page." I don't really get that one. I'm positive there's some deeper meaning behind that, but you'll have to tell me in the comments, because I can interpret it in a number of different ways, but to take it literally, obviously you can fix a blank page by writing on it. That's kind of the point of being a writer, but I don't know, maybe she's talking about writer's block? But even then, that doesn't feel entirely inspirational. I don't know, I'm struggling to interpret that quote. Tell me what you think. Now here's one I really, really love, and I'm gonna have to look at it here so I get it right. It's by G.K. Chesterton, and it says, "Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten." I love that. I think in a simple quote, it summarized what I love so much about fiction, not just fiction, but fantasy fiction even, or just stories of good versus evil, the hero and the damsel in distress. It's just, yeah, it's wow. The way I interpret that quote is that rather than just assuming that you can't be educated from fictional books, you can only be educated from educational books. I think fiction, and not just to children, probably most importantly to children, but to adults as well, to be included, they do educate you on things that can't be given to you in educational genre book, and that is stories of morals, and especially at a young age. I think that's what's going to invest in children or young people. A lot of their morals is seeing the hero overcome evil, seeing the hero being accepting of different people, seeing the hero self-sacrifice for the good of other people. I think this is more than just words on a page. I think it's values that we will take into ourselves, and I feel that I've taken in myself from reading those types of stories as a kid. If we're to talk about it as adults, I think it's great to still keep this quote in mind, because it reminds us that even though these worlds may be fictional, it's very true, it's very real that being good and showing love can trounce bad. I told you it was going to get cheesy. I'm just going to share one more because I've kind of gone into more discussion about each quote than I originally planned, but maybe I can do a second part to this video if you guys want that. Just let me know in the comments if you think this is something you'd like to see me do more of. But the next quote is by Anton Chekhov, and it says, "Don't tell me the moon is shining, show me the glint of light on broken glass." That's not so much an inspirational quote to get people to write, it's more so an inspirational quote about what makes a writer great. People will tell you, show, don't tell as a general writing tip, but this quote is a beautiful way to personify that, and to not even just that, but straight up give you an example. Don't just make your writing descriptive, make your writing beautiful, and you can do that by being descriptive and very fluid, and just be atmospheric. Bring in elements of the story, the location, what's laying on the ground in the scene. Bring it to the reader. Make them feel like they're not just being pulled into the story, but make them feel like the story is all around them. That's kind of what I take away from that quote anyway. And like I said, I would have liked to have given you more quotes. I have more here, but I might have to put that into another video just because I've kind of rambled on with these ones. Leave me a comment below, let me know what you thought of any of these. Maybe you can clear up that quote from before that I didn't quite understand about the blank page. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Check out some of my other writing tip videos for some more solid tips, like how to do a book cover, all that kind of stuff. You can find that in my writing tip playlist on my channel. All my social media links are below. I'm most active on Twitter, and you can check out the links to my blog and my podcast below as well. If you haven't already, join the Wolfpack and subscribe, and if you are in the Wolfpack, I'll see you in the next video. Catch ya.